Okay, welcome to a little edition how we can make food go further. So I'll put this on my MacBean Farms and Prepping channel and probably on the Peck Chef. So what I have here, I have BeerCreek creamy potato soup mix. And by itself, this is a good meal. But I like to make them go further, so we add to it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some real potatoes in here, which I'm going to prepare before I put it in the soup. We're also going to add some meat. In this case, it's going to be Spam. Also, I'll do a prep on this. And a small can of peas and carrots. And probably just a handful of some pasta, which will make somebody that has 8 servings, probably easily about 10 servings. And will increase the nutritional value because here I'm only getting 2 grams per serving on it. I'll be adding 3 grams, probably total in the potatoes. I'll be adding, see if it tells me here, see if I can read this. 7 grams. And how many servings you got? 6 servings. So 42 grams will be added to the mix with just that. So I'm going to make the soup more nutritious by just adding a couple things. So this was like $8, $3.50, so it's $11.50. We'll just call it $1. Probably wasn't, but it's $12.50, and probably about 50 cents of pasta. So and the potatoes about $13, and I'll make a meal for 2, and we'll get at least 4 full meals out of it. So that's a pretty good deal. So the first thing I do is I start with peeling the potatoes. And remember, all my vegetable scraps go into, I call it the food bucket. And then I take these out to the garden and till it into the soil, and it helps nutrition the soil there. So, not taking all the skin off, just most of it. I did wash these. Now I will be growing my own potatoes. Actually, I've planted 6 grow bags already. And thankfully they haven't sprouted out yet because we're going to get a freeze tonight. Hopefully that'll be the last of those. Now let's get these peeled, and I'll get them cut up in cubes. I got dehydrated potatoes that are in there, but I'd like to add regular potatoes to the mix. It just makes it far more nutritious. So I just cube these up real quick. This is going to make the soup a lot more delicious and hearty than if I just used the mix. But like I said, the mix is standalone. You can just get the water boiling and go to town, and that would be sufficient. But if you're trying to make it go further, this is a great way to stretch out your meals. Remember my sponsor, Cutco Knives. It'll be in the description. Got Lucky O'Day at cutco.com. I do like these knives. They got a really nice feel in the handle. That's my favorite peeler. That one I actually bought from them. Kind of give you an idea of how much I do like these knives. So, I've got them all kind of ready to roll. What I'm going to do is I'm going to heat the pan. Now, it really don't matter whether if you're using cast iron or if you're using non-stick. It's really not that much different. For flavor wise, I'm going to use a little Crisco. And I'm not going to use a lot of it, I just want to have a little bit of a layer there. And it'll help add flavor. So once that gets melted down, some salt and pepper. I'll wait till that gets ready. Kind of hit the old pause button. Okay, so I got this nice little layer of Crisco there, so I can kind of sear the potatoes and pre-season them before they go into the water. So I use my secret spices, fresh ground pepper, and sea salt. Let me make sure I can even see that portion there. No, I'm gonna have to move it a little bit. So there's the oven part of it. So I got that pre-going there. And give it a quick stir. It allows you to kind of get the Crisco coated on the individual pieces. And while that's going to town, I'm going to cut up the Spam. It's not ham, it's Spam. Yes, it's got a lot of salt in it, I understand. But in a survival situation, it is a source of protein, which I am going to be doing a future video on it to response to somebody that posted something on the Facebook group. And the problem with the post is it was a half-truth. So there was enough truth in there to make it sound like a valid thing. But then, as Paul Harvey used to say, and some young people might have to Google him. And now for the rest of the story. So I'm going to do my research later on today, so I don't fall into the same trap that this person put into. I'm not going to call him out by name. But the fact that when he made the post, he made it where you couldn't put comments on it. And he made a statement that says, not up for debate. Well, I tell you, young man, it is up for debate, because what you said was only half correct. So I'm going to give the rest of the story on that. And this will get posted on my fitness channel. And then I'll probably post it on Facebook and see if he notices it. You can kind of correct him. So now I also got the Spam cubed up. I will add that with the potatoes here in a little bit. Potatoes take a little bit longer to cook, but I'm not going to cook them fully, because I am going to be cooking them fully in the water. So, recipe calls for 8 cups. This is a 4-cupper. And I use filtered water, because your recipe is as good as your worst ingredient. So remember that. Things are going to taste as good as the cheapest and least quality ingredient you put in there. So I have already added 4 cups in there, and I'm going to add a little bit more water to it also. And what I'm going to do is get this up to a boil. But I just use a pure water filter. It does a fair job. Just like any of these, it does a great job on its first couple pitchers and that, and then it's not a Berkeley. I do have a Berkeley, but it's for emergencies only. And I haven't had an emergency yet, so I still keep it in the bag. So I stir this up a little bit more. Now add in the Spam. More of the secret spices, suspiciously like fresh ground pepper and sea salt. So this is not something you want to have every day. I do have a lot of salt in here. Keep that going for a little bit. I've got my peas and carrots going there towards the end. My pasta will go in there towards the end also. So we're just waiting for the water to get hot, and we'll start adding in the ingredients. Last thing will actually be this. So I will have the potatoes and Spam in there longer than I'll have that. This, the vegetables, and the pasta all going at the same time. And at that point, it'll be ready in 15 minutes. So, it is how it's looking. Pretty much cooked enough. I'm just waiting for the water to get up to the boil. Add this in. I can add it in before it, which I'm going to do. And then I did add another 2 cups of water in there because I am putting so much in here that if I don't, it'll be more like a stew than it'll be a soup. So once it comes up to a boil, these 3 ingredients will go in. 15 minutes later, we're ready to eat. So I got it up to a boil. And so far we have just potatoes and the Spam. I will add some more spicing for flavor. The trick is some, but not too much, because you want, once you overspice it, it's done. You're done with it. Now what I like about this ultra power burner is it brings water up to the boil rather quickly, and that's a medium setting. I got a strong rolling boil, so I'm going to kick it down to medium low because I don't want to overboil it. And the whole idea is I'm trying to get it where it's a nice controlled boil, because I didn't fully cook the potatoes in the pan. I'm going to let this go for probably about 10 minutes before I add the rest of the ingredients. And then I'll set the timer for 15. And we'll have a really delicious creamy potato and ham, peas and carrots soup. Okay, so now we put our last 3 ingredients in. So I have a cup of this noodles, kind of mixed up, doesn't matter, it's just pasta. Let's add that in there. I have my small can of peas and carrots. Then I have the creamy potato mix. And I say to whisk it in, otherwise it'll get clumpy. So you notice when I added material to it, the boil stopped. I'll kick up the heat a little bit. And then what I do is I just add this in and whisk it in a little bit at a time. Pretty easy. I've already added salt and pepper in here for spicing. When we serve it, we can add more to each other's taste. You also will top it with cottage, or not with cottage, with cheddar cheese. Woo, it's hot. And just make sure everything gets mixed up, so not to clump up. So I let the other stuff cook a little bit longer, because it was raw materials. This stuff is pre-cooked for the most part. So it's just basically you're making a good meal better. Now, I can see the boil starting to kind of come up a little bit too fast, so I want to cut the heat back down a little bit. And it says reduce heat to a medium and simmer for 15 minutes. And that's going to be low on this burner, or I may actually have to move it. That's just how strong this burner is. So I set the timer for 15 minutes. I am going to move it over to that burner. And in 15 minutes, we turn the camera back on. We'll have soup. So here we are. We have soup. 15 minutes. Now I'll just let it rest for a few minutes, and we'll be ready to serve it. I did add about 1 or 2 cups of water to it because it was getting way too thick. So, nice and stirred up. I got some nice cheddar cheese. A little sprinkle on the top of that. A little shot of black pepper. We'll cook some bacon, put on top of it too. Except I just now pulled it out of the freezer, so we probably will be baconless for at least this one. Next time we have it, I'll have the bacon for it. So, that is good eating. And there is the finished product. Some cheddar on the top. And just another layer of fresh ground pepper. And dinner is served.